Tonight, police issue a statement on a body found in a ravine. It's more water woes for customers in the north, and the government is called upon to create greater avenues for youth in a bid to stem crime. The details of these stories and more are coming up.
This is the Hot 7 Nightly News with Lovelace and Amy Joseph.
Good night. It is Wednesday, the 19th of February 2020. Welcome to the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. We're on Flow Channel 117. The broadcast is also being simulcast on Kiss FM Radio. You can watch via our website. It's www.caribbeanhottv.com or on our free Caribbean Hot FM mobile app. I'm Lovely St. Amy Joseph. Thank you for joining us. The Police Press Relations Office has issued this statement on a dead body found at Odsa on Tuesday.
A police operation was conducted on Tuesday, February 18, 2020 in Bexel Castries. The operation was conducted with the goal of apprehending a group of suspects involved in various thefts in the Castries and ancillary districts. When approached by officers, the suspects discharged a firearm in the direction of officers, resulting in an exchange of gunfire. The individuals were able to escape detention via motor vehicle. Officers later received information regarding an abandoned vehicle in the Odsa area. 2 males were seen fleeing from it. Upon arrival, one of the individuals who evaded arrest during the operation was discovered unresponsive and was pronounced dead by a medical practitioner. The deceased has been identified as Benjamin Cyril, a 22-year-old resident of Wapatat, Castries. A postmortem examination is scheduled for a later date, and the investigation into the circumstances surrounding his death are ongoing.
That was Police Press Relations Officer Corporal Ann Joseph. In other news, a passionate appeal has been made to the youth of St. Lucia, young men in particular, to say no to a life of crime. Methodist Minister Seth Ampadu is taking the message a step further by calling on families to take up their responsibilities in a way that ensures that children are raised into productive and law-abiding citizens.
It is unfortunate to see our young men losing their lives. They are the future of our nation, but when we see them losing their lives, it must be concern of all of us. So I want to appeal to entire nation that we should do something about that. We need to fix back our family system, our family structures, in order to encourage these our young people. Whatever situation or whatever problem they are facing, we need to talk. You see, guns and those things will not solve the problem for the nation. And therefore, we need to drop the guns and the knives and use our mouths to talk. And when we are able to do that, it will minimize this kind of shootings and the killing.
Ampadu weighed in on the proliferation of petty crimes, particularly robberies. He says a spirit of greed and envy is pervasive among the youth. Nonetheless, he says leaders have a responsibility to put social policies in place that target youth and address crime and the link to poverty.
And I appeal to our leaders to create more jobs for the young people, because the devil always finds work for idle hands. So I want to appeal to our leaders to focus on job creation for these our young people, and I believe if they have something to do, occupy them, it will minimize this kind of robbery and those things.
That was Methodist Minister Seth Ampadu. Emergency repairs on Wasco's raw water mains in Vanna on Friday the 14th of February are believed to have compromised the integrity of the raw water line from the John Compton Dam to the Thebos treatment plant. This has led to the discovery of several other leaks along the length of the line, including a major break on the 32-inch line at Cul-de-Sac, which was found today, the 19th of February. The situation has impeded efforts to supply consumers in some areas with a supply of water since the recommissioning of the distribution system on the 18th of February. As a result of the new break on the line, an emergency meeting was called earlier today where Wasco technicians and engineers have taken a decision to shut down the raw water line. This was in order to effect the necessary repairs. A crew has been mobilized and is expected to work throughout the night until repairs are completed. However, as a result, residents in the north of the island will experience an interruption in the water supply. Some residents at the further end of the system and at higher elevations who have been without a supply of water since the repairs at Varna will continue to experience delays in accessing the supply. The shutdown and pending repairs on the system form part of a phased approach to a maintenance system for the raw water line. This will be undertaken in a phased approach until the entire raw water system is restored. During this time, periodic alerts will be issued to the public well in advance of the upcoming planned water supply interruptions, in order to give consumers time to stock up on their supply of water at their respective homes and businesses in the coming days. Civil engineer John Peters has made the case for an increase in the price of water. This, he says, is for the future sustainability of Wasco, to improve the island-wide water supply and to ensure routine maintenance of the system. Peters says a fair price for water has to be arrived at.
The reality is that water is an expensive commodity, and it's costly both in terms of storage, in terms of distribution, in terms of treatment. And that is a factor that has to be considered in our whole, governance at this point in time. There is a need for Wasco to be able to charge a proper cost for water. There is a need to ensure that also that you have adequate management within the organization.
The issue is a sensitive one, as the history of access to clean pipe-borne water has been one of struggle in many communities. Peters himself recalls that St. Lucia's longest-serving Prime Minister, Sir John Compton, was very adamant that water be as affordable as possible, given the bilharzia crisis that unfolded in the island due to a lack of access to clean drinking water.
I recall in the 90s, there was a very strong argument put forward by the board then for an increase. Then Prime Minister John Compton was adamant that water should not be an expensive commodity, and obviously his thoughts were clouded or colored by his own experiences in dealing with debts during that whole episode of bilharzia when it was prominent in the Dennery area. So he always had these flashbacks, as I recall, of young children dying virtually sometimes in his very hands. And he was always one that believed that water should not be an expensive commodity.
Peters says times have changed, and the reality is that water is an expensive commodity. A major dust cloud hovers over the region and is as beneficial as it is dangerous to the countries that it is reaching. Whilst the mineral-rich dust is essentially an airborne fertilizer for marine life, as well as tropical rainforests, and also serves to inhibit tropical developments in the region, it also poses serious health risks to persons suffering from heart conditions as well as respiratory issues like allergies and sinusitis. The dust cloud is expected to worsen during the coming hours, ending on Friday.
If anyone has noticed the hazy hills of late, it is not rain or fog. It is instead a plume of dry Saharan dust known as the Saharan Air Layer, or quite aptly, SAL, which is currently making its way across the Caribbean, according to the Hurricane Research Division of National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. The phenomenon usually forms from late spring through early fall, moving out into the tropical Atlantic Ocean about every 3 to 5 days. SAL is typically located between 5,000 to 20,000 feet above the Earth's surface and is transported westward by bursts of strong winds and tropical waves located in the central and western Atlantic Ocean at altitudes between 6,500 and 14,500 feet. It goes without saying that the dust has its benefits, working as a mineral-rich fertilizer for the Amazon rainforest, as well as creating downdrafts around storms, which may result in the weakening of tropical systems, thus helping to lessen the intensity of tropical storms and hurricanes. On the flip side, the dust cloud comes with numerous adverse effects, especially for persons with heart conditions, allergy sufferers, and asthma sufferers. The elderly and children should also be monitored during times of high dust presence. Dust particles may also trigger a dry cough, sore throat, itchy, watery eyes, sneezing, and runny nose, including in persons with no pre-existing conditions. However, health experts warn that those with pre-existing conditions should stay indoors when possible and should have their rescue inhalers with them at all times. Symptoms usually disappear once dust levels are reduced, but affected persons should seek medical attention if they experience severe shortness of breath, difficulty breathing, persistent fever for more than 2 to 3 days, or a severe worsening of a pre-existing condition. Those currently battling the influenza and common cold viruses are also at higher risk and should be cautious. Health experts also advise those with pre-existing conditions to employ the use of a dust mask when venturing out. Also, the fertilizer aspect of the dust encourages the growth of toxic algae blooms known as red tides in the seas, which have been responsible for the deaths of huge numbers of fish and other marine life in the past. The current plume is expected to linger into Thursday the 20th and is expected to end by Friday. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I'm Rochelle Gonzalez.
Thank you, Rochelle. This is the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. Still to come, the Tourism Minister says increased British Airways flights validate government's move to allow Virgin Atlantic to pull out. Tennyson John and the TJ Project take Trinidad by storm for Kes Tuesday on the Rocks. That and more coming up after the break.